If you are a woman living her best hot mess express life while simultaneously crushing it, and you're craving more clarity, purpose, and excellence, get ready because you're in the right spot. I am your host, Chelsea DeBruin-Colbert, and I want to welcome you to Season 2 of All Things Excellence, the podcast, where I'll be bringing you all the inspiration and insights your excellence-seeking heart desires. This season, I'm stepping back into chasing big, bold, and absolutely terrifying goals, sharing every honest step and misstep along the way. We're continuing our beloved Unscripted series, featuring live clarity coaching sessions with guests just like you, and diving deep into raw behind-the-scenes stories of powerhouse women founders I am wildly obsessed with, whose journeys will fuel your own. So grab your coffee, settle in, and get ready to discover just how close you are to the life your soul is calling you to create. This is All Things Excellence. Hey, All Things Excellence fam. Welcome today. I have a very fun special treat. And I just want to preface this by saying you might have kids and you might not have kids. You might be like me and you might have really, really important littles in your life. And I'm excited to learn today's topic about raising little millionaires with Emily. She has a platform that helps parents teach their kids financial literacy from ages 3 to 18. Yes, y'all, 3 years old. No finance degree required. She is a former educator and district leader with a master's in education. She blends practical money habits with child development insights to make personal finance feel doable for real families. She's also a reformed overspender turned financial educator on a mission to empower the next generation with lifelong money confidence. And y'all, I have binged her Instagram. You're going to want to binge her Instagram. Kobe and I binged her Instagram together. I've done it separate. We've done it together. I've done it more. I teased Kobe that she has this account teaching people how to raise their children well with really great money habits, but he should probably go follow her as well because he just wasn't raised with the awareness of it at all. It was not a conversation that was had in his house. And if it was, it wasn't pretty. And I think a lot of people can relate to that probably. So Emily, I'm really excited to have you on today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
All right, so you guys, I've given her some questions ahead of time, but first, okay, like y'all know I love creating a little bit of like, oh my gosh, me too, that's me too, stuff. So tell us a little bit about yourself. So like starting with your, you have kids.
Yes, yeah. I have two kids. Yes, right now I have two kids. They're 4 and 2, both boys. So we have a lot of energy in our house. A lot of energy.
Yeah.
Thankfully, my in-laws are lovely and are watching or picking my younger one up from daycare because otherwise he would be screaming and running in this background and we would have no conversation. Got like the diaper
Yeah,
bag back there and another diaper bag and
I love that. That's awesome. Okay, so you said that you were formerly in education. So you were home now with the kids? I mean, you're busy. You do a lot of this stuff, right? So what did you primarily do when you were in the education world?
Yeah, so there's not a lot I didn't touch in education. I started out as a preschool teacher, and then I taught all the way, and I love teaching preschool. It was like such a great foundation. That's where I got my master's in education, was in early childhood education, and then taught kind of across the pre-K to grade 12 spectrum, and then eventually moved into school leadership, and then eventually district leadership, where I was running curriculum for like a large network of schools. And then switched into the nonprofit space where I focused a lot more on personal finance and financial literacy and career readiness curriculum for high school and college students. And yeah, so that's a little bit about where I transitioned.
Yeah.
But really, where Raising Little Millionaires comes from
Yeah, I'm like,
is
how did okay, we have taught
yes,
everything in all the places,
yes,
and then you even went into admin. So then how did which very familiar. My husband works in education, so I get that. Like once you start with one thing, next thing you know, you're signed up to do all the things. But how in the world did you get here?
yeah, honestly, so I guess that's a big question that goes all the way back.
Yeah.
So growing up, I had very hardworking, very loving, very wonderful parents who just didn't know a lot about money and personal finance themselves. And, honestly, like in the 80s, I really don't think it was pre-internet. We didn't really talk about the stuff as much. It wasn't as easy
No.
to get information about we didn't have
Mm,
podcasts, right? And
no.
so, while my parents were very well meaning, I think that they just didn't, have a strong knowledge about how to kind of teach and instill money habits and mindsets.
Yeah.
And so I learned a lot about money really through kind of pure trial and error. And I didn't have a lot of financial literacy myself. I learned the term investing for the first time when I was exiting college. And so, I kind of came into the world. I moved to Chicago in my early 20s. I had a lot of fun in the big city. I'm from Oklahoma, so like I had a lot
Oh,
of fun in
you're
the big city.
originally from Oklahoma.
Originally from Oklahoma, yeah.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
that's not even, so we were talking before and I was like, oh, Midwest, I get it, the Midwest life, but that's the South. I mean, that's even a different, that's like in the Midwest, there's probably a lot of conversations going on about money that most likely aren't good. It's either there's a lot of stress or there's a lot of shame. But you were in the South, like that's very different.
Yeah, I think the difference too is in the South we just don't talk about it.
That's what I was
You
gonna
know,
say. I lived
we're
in
just not
Dallas for
talking about
6 years.
it.
Yeah, I'm like, I lived in
So,
Dallas for 6 years. I'm going thinking, oh, they didn't talk about it at all. Like there was actually no conversation. Correct.
yes,
Okay.
yeah. That really manifests in a lot of interesting ways. I remember, I learned about taxes for the first time through like a really hard lesson. I was very fortunate. I got a scholarship while in college that enabled me to work unpaid internships over the summers. Like the scholarship gave me money to live so that I could work an unpaid internship to like beef up my resume and like get work experience. And while I'm sure someone said to me that that was 1099 income, like didn't know what that meant. And
It
someone said
was?
to me, yeah, and someone
That's
like
not
it was like
really a
yeah, it was like
scholarship then.
yeah, it was like maybe a stipend is like the right term for it, but it didn't
Okay.
come through my university. It was like through like a foundation, and it was our income for the summer, and it's we budgeted it and we lived and worked on it. Um and I'm sure someone said to me at some point in time like save money for taxes because I definitely in my mind thought like I need to leave at least a few $100 like to make
No,
sure I'm good at
not a
tax
few hundred
time.
dollars.
Exactly. And so I found out, I
Not
learned
at all.
that lesson the hard way. Come tax time, when I got a very frantic call from my parents about how much money, I owed on my taxes, and I didn't have it, right? I didn't have any of
Yeah,
it. And
like
so,
20, 25, 30%, depending on your
yes.
state.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It definitely had amounted to thousands of dollars that
Hmm.
I did not have. Because in college I had, when I graduated college, I had $123 to my name and a whole lot of debt. So like during college I wasn't saving a lot, but I had to pick up another part-time job and like work to get that additional money to cover that tax burden while I was in college. And like that's how I learned that taxes exist or
Is
like are a
that,
thing.
would you say, okay, so here's where like my, we call it like my absolute level 10 innocence comes in. So I grew up surrounded by entrepreneurs. Everyone in my family is an entrepreneur. So I grew up always knowing what taxes are, watching my parents balance books. Like they definitely did give me money management, the board game, when I was like 8 years old for Christmas. Not kidding. No, other people got Monopoly. I got money management, the board game, tithing and all included in this game. But also, obviously, I grew up watching them do taxes. And I would help my mom in her office with her business. So I knew the difference. She would receive a 1099. So I did learn really early on about the difference between a W-2 and a 1099 and things like that. Would you say, and I said this the other day, and people in my Pilates class, and my friends were like, what? I said, yeah, I've had an accountant since I was 15.
Yeah. I would say
That's
not
not,
common.
okay.
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
would say not
is
super
it? Because my
common.
husband would probably not say that he didn't know what those things were. He probably, but I don't know, he also grew up with like a family that farms, so he might have known a little bit more. Would you say that's normal? Like that's normal that people don't know the difference between like a W-2 and a 1099, even as adults, knowing no.
Yeah, I mean, I still get a lot of comments and questions that people have just around personal finance as we like talk about these topics, which number one, I think is really important because like you should be asking these
You
questions.
should.
And it's
Mm,
okay if you don't know them. And
yeah.
that's, why the the internet and having, access to information is a beautiful thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, when I was growing up, like it was pure, I think I know that my parents had a lot of stress about money. I know that my father lost his job for like a period of time and was out of work for about a year and that we almost lost our house. I know about that now as an adult, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't know about that at the time. But what I did know is that we went to the grocery store and we had to stick very tightly to the sale and the coupons. I did know that like I couldn't get braces that year because my dad lost his job,
Yeah.
which deferred my dental work until I was an adult, which that's a separate side story because that added to my debt as an adult when I had to
Yeah.
do kind of more extensive dental work that I kind of missed out on as a kid. Um, but like I knew the tension that we had when I asked my parents for money or like that type of
Mhm.
thing, and so very much like I kind of felt the stress a little bit around money, but I had no visibility into it. And so I think my parents, once again, from a very well meaning place, didn't want me to feel and absorb the stress of that. And when it came to my money from babysitting or from the jobs that I worked, um, that money I really just had kind of free reign on. And I remember being a 12-year-old and getting money in, right? Like the mentality of it was like, okay, money comes in. I don't get
Mhm.
money that often. I'm getting money when I babysit or like when I do something to bring it in. And I just get excited to think about all the things I can spend it on. And so I remember being a 12-year-old, like buying Avon skincare products out of
Yeah.
like an Avon catalog,
Yeah.
which obviously I did not need as a 12-year-old because I was just like, oh, I have money. What can I go spend it on now?
Mm.
And so, that really developed or helped contribute to developing just that kind of deep consumption habit, sort of like money comes
Yeah.
in. First, you get excited about what you can spend it on, and then, you can save whatever. I had a savings account, but I didn't have a checking account. I had only a savings account. And so I was friends with the bank teller eventually because I'd always run in there like every week and like take money out of my savings account to like go do, fun stuff with my friends with. And I just didn't have like, not only did I not have like the financial literacy around like what to do with my money, but I also didn't like that was the mindset and habit that was set within me, right? Was spend first, save second. Um,
Mm.
and as I got to be an adult, right?
That's where
Like I
this
said,
personal validation of like I don't have to worry thing that we talked about.
yes, yeah. So when I got to be an adult, I moved to the big city. I had a lot of fun, a lot of student
Hmm.
loan debt,
Yeah.
but my student loans were deferred for a couple years, so then I had a lot more fun. And I found myself in consumer debt as well. And
Mm.
about my mid 20s, I got hit with I had extensive dental work that needed to be done, and I no longer, I was over 19, so my insurance wouldn't cover it
Yes,
and all of that, which,
because we're that age,
yeah.
people. We're that age that it wasn't this till 26 thing. Like I'm 40. No. When you were out of college, like your parents, you were
Mhm.
on your own.
Yeah, it was
Yes.
done for sure.
It was over.
Um,
Paid
and
for
that was
ourselves right away.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And that was kind of a tipping point for me because I was in a relationship with my now husband, an early relationship with my now husband, and I was like looking toward the idea of getting married and realizing like I didn't have any money for a wedding and I didn't have time to save for it, and I had a whole bunch of debt. And so that was kind of a tipping point for me. And at that point in time, um, you know, well, I guess to your point earlier, like I had to really do a lot of self-examination and really thinking like, why is it that I'm really in this deep
Mm.
consumption habit? Like, why am
Yeah.
I like spending all this money on these different types of things? And to me, it wasn't so much a keeping up with the Joneses mentality. I don't know that I
Yeah.
derive validation from like my friends being like, oh, cool, like
Because
jacket or
we were
like,
talking about this. Like different
oh,
personalities have a different thing on it. Where like I have a sibling who's like optics mean a lot. And am not an optics person. But when you said the consuming because the personal validation of like I don't have to worry.
yeah.
I feel
It like
like
made me
I
feel good to be like,
yeah,
just swipe my credit card. I've got the money. It's okay.
yes. Where it's
Mhm.
like you're either very dialed in or you're very checked out. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So around my mid 20s, I started to get, more into the personal finance community and consuming more information about personal finance. I had to do a lot of unlearning myself and a lot of relearning to set myself on a better path. And I managed to scrape and pull my way out of debt and like set myself on the pathway toward financial independence.
Yeah.
And so I knew that when I had kids, I wanted a different money story for them. also simultaneously, I have an education background. That's what my master's is in. I wrote personal finance curriculum. I ran curriculum for like a large network of schools across the pre-K to 12 continuum. So I was like, I got this, like no
Yeah,
problem. Like I'm gonna be like
I can
setting up
figure
a
this out.
classroom, like teaching my kids all these money lessons. There's like a lot of open source, like personal finance curriculum. And then I had kids and I couldn't even find time to shower and I couldn't keep two thoughts straight in my head anymore because
Yeah,
mom brain is real. Um, and I didn't have time to like do all of that.
all the
And
research.
yeah, and objectively, like for me as someone whose background is in this, it should have been easier for me than most other people to be able to figure out how to do this at home. And even I couldn't do it.
Okay, but so as somebody who went to school for finance and then had all the things happen, did everything right, and then I did everything very wrong based off of emotional whatever. I think that that carries its own level of shame of like, I should know better than this because I have more knowledge than most people in this
Mhm.
specific area.
Yeah.
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 And I remember thinking,
Yep.
yeah. And I remember thinking at that time, I was like, okay, like someone's got to have an answer for this. So like I
Hmm.
started consuming everything I could find about like teaching kids about money and like finding all the episodes on all my personal finance podcasts that talked about it and all of that. And I kept hearing a lot of the same kind of advice over and over again, which wasn't bad advice, but just wasn't what I was looking for, right? Like dollar for dollar match their first car, like employ them in your business and open a Roth IRA for them and all
Yeah.
of those things. And that was great, but those things require a business and money, are better for older kids, and
Yeah.
they just weren't hitting what I was really looking for. To me, my concern wasn't let me open an account for them and put $500 in it every Christmas and they'll be a millionaire. I wasn't looking to give my kid a big pot of money. If I
You were
could one
looking,
day,
yeah,
great.
you're like, I
Yeah.
want to actually teach them how to be good with the money that I'm going to leave them.
Yes. And
Very
also
different.
like if they leave my house without a dollar to their name, which they won't under our framework, but if they were to leave my house without a dollar to their name, I know that they would enter into the world able to manage their money, able to make choices with their money and navigate their money in ways that
Yeah.
would allow them to live a choice-filled life. And that's what
Mm.
I'm actually most concerned about with my kids because for me, throughout the course of my life, not having had those habits and mindsets instilled, not having had that knowledge, like not only did I lose the powerful saving and investing years of my 20s that could have put me on a better path even further than I am now, like I also, there were so many things I could not choose to do that mattered to me because I had to choose to get out of debt.
Yes.
And, that's just
Mm.
not the narrative that I wanted for my kids. Like, I want them to have a very clear, values driven mindset around money, to understand that budgeting is their plan to get what they want the most and to set what it is that they want the most, and then to be able to get to those things because they can make the choices they need to make to get to those things, and not to have those choices taken from them because they've made some costly money mistakes down the road that kind of are saddling them, for
Yeah.
life. And so, yeah, so I
Yeah.
couldn't find it, so I made it. And that's how
Yeah.
Raising Little Millionaires was born.
I love that because you said that kids can start learning as young as 3 years old, right? You know this from your education background that we can start having conversations with kids as young as 3 years old about money and your relationship with it. Do you feel like we talked about before we started how money is such an emotionally charged conversation for so many people? And I remember back in the day reading a book about how money really isn't something, it isn't an emotion, it really is just a tool. So do you feel like raising your kids how you are, at least the one who's over 3, do you feel like you are turning it into more of a tool than this emotional thing that controls them? And you know what I mean? It's almost, I feel like money is, things can be a thermometer or the thermostat. And I feel like money is the thermometer in most people's homes, and that you're equipping people with the skills to teach their kids even how to make it the thermostat,
Mm,
right? Or like
yeah.
yes, where it's not deciding what the temperature of the home is. So, okay. And I love teaching them to live a choice filled life.
Mhm.
I love that so much. When you said that before we hit record, I was like, I just want to put that all over the place.
Yeah.
So, okay, so for first of all, when you were doing all of your research, were there a couple of resources for yourself personally, like even as an adult? are there a couple resources that pop up for you that are your favorite?
Yeah. Well, when thinking about specifically talking to kids about money, I turned to my state has
Mm.
like standards for personal finance and economics that go all the way
Oh,
back to kindergarten. And so I based a lot of kind of the framework that we use around a lot of like those state standards.
yeah.
Number one, for really two main reasons. Number one is like a bunch of people who are really smart and really skilled in child development have put together that progression and is developmentally appropriate. The second is that I wanted to make sure that what I'm talking about at home with my kids is happening at the same time that they're learning things at school. So, like when it's likely that they're getting introduced to percentages, we'll start talking about interest, right? We're not going
Okay.
before that or beyond that.
Yeah.
And so that was a big resource for me. And then I definitely have like a number of like personal finance like podcasts and like companies that really helped me orient to like a better orientation toward money.
Yeah.
But really, I kind of took a lot of those things like, here's all the things that I know are true as an adult. And now, how do I reverse engineer that back
Mm.
down to 3 years old and start to
Hmm.
introduce those concepts in developmentally appropriate ways? Like,
Yeah.
we don't have to have our kids doing their taxes at 3 years old, but we can talk to them about how money is a form of exchange. Like, I get money when I go to work, and now we're going to give the cashier money, and they're going to give us this object. And they can understand
Mm.
concepts like money is finite. So, like, I have $10, this item costs 5, I have enough money for it, I have 5 left over. Or like this, I have $10, this object costs $20, I don't have enough money for it, this money can run out.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so those are all like things that 3-year-olds can't understand. They can't explore the idea of the difference between a need and a want, which we already are talking to them about a lot because my 4-year-old loves but I need it.
Uh-huh.
When it comes to, like anything, like his brother's playing with his favorite toy, but he needs it,
Yeah.
and all of that. And so it really, that's where I started just reverse engineering like what concepts kids can understand. And my biggest kind of hill to die on with all of this is being accessible for busy parents. So we're not doing lessons.
Hmm.
There's no
Hmm.
curriculum, like complicated curriculum, and lessons you need to implement and follow
Hmm.
and prep for. We're talking about how are you having the conversations you're already having at home, but doing them better? How are you doing a piggy bank, but better? How are you doing allowances, but better?
Yes. Okay,
And
because
so,
you have
yeah.
multiple reels about that. Like you have a reel
hmm
about the allowance thing. What did you
hmm
call say it? The hybrid allowance?
Yeah, so I use a
Yes.
hybrid.
Hybrid
I've
allowance
defined
is.
a framework for 3 different types of allowances, and
Yes.
honestly, big picture, any of them are fine. It's just the pros and understanding each system, picking one, and knowing the pros and cons. But yeah, it's like those are things people are going to do anyway. Like
Yes.
when a kid comes home with their first paycheck and you help them open the accounts to put it into, like what accounts are you opening and how are you telling them to split it up? Like you're doing that anyway. We're just going to talk about how to do it better. And so that was like a big thing that I was hoping to accomplish whenever I kind of set out on this journey was like making this accessible for busy parents, helping them like do things that are going to integrate into their daily lives. And we do have some like suggested activities and like fun things you can do that can like help teach your child and that are good exercises for them. So we do have that too. But we also have really just defined, look, this is what a 3 to 5-year-old can understand. And here's the quick and simple thing you can say at the grocery store that's going to reinforce that. Here's the quick and simple thing that you can do with their piggy bank that's going to reinforce that.
So for I think a lot of women listen to this, they're listening to all the things, right? Because they know that they're not doing something right. And so they're searching for the podcasts and the YouTubes and they're trying to read the books and listening to the audio. They're probably listening to the audiobooks just like they're listening to this podcast in their car in the long line at the school drop off right now or the school pickup. And so if for you, if there is just absolutely one thing, like if they can only do one thing or they can only start one place, what suggestion do you have for that woman who's severely overwhelmed, feeling like she's doing everything wrong, but like this would be a good place for her to start? Like, what is the one thing that she could do that could start making a difference, or the one resource she could tap into, or
Yeah.
yeah,
The biggest thing that I would say that you can implement today without any prior training or thinking about it, and you
yeah,
can do it often, and it will make a massive impact on your child, is narrating your money choices out loud. And
Mm.
so, in a like all of that, we're doing that calculus in our head all the time. When we go to the store, we go to Target with our kid, and they want the toy, and we say that's too expensive, right? Like we're doing the calculus in our head of saying like I cannot spend $50 on this random toy right now,
What
or
would be better
whatever.
to say? Like, that's too expensive? What would be a better thing to say than that's too expensive or whatever? What would you say instead?
Yeah, so we give a bunch of one-liners on our Instagram, so also head there too. There's a really good carousel post about if you're tired of toy tantrums at Target, like what to say instead. But an example of that, right, and what you might say in that moment instead is, I see that that toy costs $50. We are here for needs today. This is a want. We're choosing to shop for needs today because we're saving up for the family camping trip we're taking in 2 weeks. So right now, I'm choosing not to buy this toy so that I have the money for the family camping trip we're saving up for, or whatever is true to you, right?
Yeah. But the bottom
Um,
line is you're taking this thing, you're reframing it, and you're also vision casting going, we're choosing not to do this today because we're choosing to do this tomorrow, next week, next year, next month, whatever.
Yeah, another one that we hear a lot or that I use a lot is like the we have food at home. And so, like, you're driving along, you're passing the McDonald's, your kid wants the Happy Meal, and you're like, we have tons of groceries at home. Like, I'm not stopping out for food every day. And another easy way to quickly reframe that is just like, I want the McDonald's Happy Meal, right? So instead of saying food at home, you say, I'm choosing not to buy food out because I'm saving up to go to dinner as a family on Saturday or whatever it is. Once again, it needs to be truthful because don't say that to your kid and then not
Yes.
take them out to dinner on Saturday. It
Yeah.
could be like, I'm saving up for a dinner with my friends for my friend's birthday next weekend or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But it is making those choices that you're making around your money visible. And honestly, like, sometimes like they kind of catch you off guard and like you can't think of it in the moment. You can even just say something as simple as like, we're not stopping at McDonald's now because I'm saving up for us to go to family as or go to dinner as a family soon, whatever. And then like figure out whenever that's feasible for you and all of that. But that is really powerful because you're number one, you're turning it into a conversation that is neutral. It's a conversation that is just fact based. It's not about shaming. It's not about like somebody like your kid feeling bad for asking for it because you're saying that's too expensive or not right now or why do you keep asking me for these things or whatever.
Yeah.
It's
Which
just taking
stresses
the
moms
step
out.
back.
I think that's what
Yeah,
makes moms have their like spiral meltdown.
totally.
I think about my own mom. Like
Yeah.
every single time, you pass McDonald's, why can't we have it today? And why is the answer always no?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what makes a mom crazy.
Yeah. Yes.
Like, I mean,
100%.
you're saying this stuff, but I'm like, oh my gosh. Like I have so much of this stuff with my own husband. Like he would eat out every single day if you would let him. One, the ease of it, not having to cook, and two, he was very much raised in this environment where we eat for enjoyment, not for energy. Like I was raised, we eat for energy. We we ate out. We ordered pizza every Saturday. I don't even know if we ordered pizza. A lot of times my mom would make the pizza because I was like allergic to pizza sauce at the time because I'm allergic to red dye. So in the late 80s and early 90s, that means your kid does not get to
Everything.
eat.
Yeah.
No, there is no Pizza
Anyway.
Hut happening for me. Like my mom had to home make this pizza and there had to be no sauce on my part. So I really honestly didn't grow up eating out at all. And I never thought anything about it. But I do think it's because my mom made the conversation more about we choose to eat food at home because it's healthier for our bodies and it gives our bodies better energy. Well, my husband wasn't raised like that. So we have this thing we call it Takeout Tuesday. That whatever takeout he would like to have on Tuesdays, we can do takeout Tuesdays. And then Saturday night date night, it's like, go to church, go to date night, whatever, order out, whatever. We usually end up eating in and out because now he's so trained that he doesn't want to eat junk food. And we're both kind of like low key, whatever's the easiest thing, not sitting in a restaurant for 8 million years.
Right. Yeah.
But it is that, like, I had to create almost this day. We've been doing it for over 5 years where it was like, no, we're not going to eat out on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday because takeout Tuesday. We get takeout on Tuesday. And every other day we're cooking the food that we have at our house. It's
Yeah.
a lot healthier for us.
Yeah. And to your point, so like number one, there's in the equation of the scenario, right? That your kid is
Hmm.
at Target asking for a toy, you're passing McDonald's.
Yes.
There are two people involved, right? So there's
Yeah.
you and there's your
Hmm.
child. On
Yeah.
your end, narrating your money choices helps you emotionally manage and just have a framework to explain like why the answer is a yes or a no in a way that's going to like help your child understand and also understand that they're garnering another bigger reward potentially
Hmm.
because you're making the choice to delay this thing. On the other
Yeah.
end of that equation is your child. And for your child in that moment, there's two major skills, right? Or there's two major things, right, that are at
Hmm.
play for them. The first is the knowledge, just that, like, oh, we need to forego this because that will save money. We can accumulate that money to use for a different goal. And that's honestly a knowledge gap, right? So, like, narrating that money choice is helping your child build the knowledge around, like, this costs money, this other thing costs money, and we can save the money up to get to this other thing. And if we don't save the money up, we don't get to this other thing. So that's a knowledge piece. The other skill that's underneath there is delayed gratification because you probably are and 100% are going to get the but I want it and like the whine back. Like this
Dude,
narrating money choices is like
two
long
marshmallow kid.
term.
Yes,
Yes,
who's
it's
married to the
it's
one marshmallow kid.
yes,
Yes.
it's like it's teaching your child the knowledge of it, but delayed gratification is still a skill. And so, even though your child may hear you, and around age 5 to 6, they really start to develop the beginnings of logical thinking. Under that, nothing's really logical, or they don't really, they actually literally in their brain don't have logical thinking developed yet.
Yeah, correct.
Um,
For a while.
so for a while, yeah. So you're still going to get the whining and that type of stuff, but that's delayed gratification itself is a skill. And there are also some really easy ways to start working on that with your kid. The same way that we don't put them on a bike and expect them to ride, the skill of waiting for a reward or waiting for something bigger is a skill in itself too that takes time and repetition to develop. And so a very simple way to um, to help your kid develop that delayed gratification is just to start start small and then start lengthening the amount of time that they're waiting for things as they grow. So maybe when they go to Target, that first right thing is, hmm, that's like that toy looks cool. And let's go take a lap around the store. We're here for our needs first. Once we finish our needs, we'll see if you're interested in revisiting it, and or if that's still what you want at the end of this trip. Number one, your kid likely will forget by the end of the trip. But number two, let's say that you do circle back, use the strategy if in your mind you're like, okay, I'm fine with buying the toy. We're working on delayed gratification. I came here expecting to get a toy. Don't feel like you have to get the toy. It's also okay just to say no. But that's one way is just to bring it to the end of the trip. And then from there, move it to a longer time frame. Like that toy looks really cool. Let's write down the name and the price. Let's think about it. And if in 2 days you're still thinking about it, we'll talk about, if and when it's feasible to get it. And now just lengthen the amount of time and have them write it down and revisit it at a later time. And then as, they get older or get better at that waiting skill, then it can move into, okay, that toy seems really cool. Let's write down the name and the price, or let's take a picture of it. We're going to go home and take a look at your spending in your saving jars, and you could decide if you want this more than the other toy that you were saving for. And all what
Because
that
this
you're
go,
doing,
yeah, this goes into
yeah,
adulthood. Like you're
yeah,
teaching, but like, because anybody that has anybody, I'm listening to this going, I still have my $100 bills in my wallet from my parents from my birthday, which was 6 months and a day ago.
yeah.
My husband spends his birthday money before it ever comes. Like, my parents are still old school, physically give us cash. And he literally has to spend before it ever comes. And I'm still here we are, 6 months and a day later, like, man, I still don't know. Delayed gratification is a
Yep.
skill.
Mm-hmm.
I see this,
It
I can already see this in my niece and nephews. I mean, yes,
Yeah.
two of my nephews, I don't even think the one definitely does because he talks about money and having a lot of it. The other one, I don't even think it's a thought. They're 4 and 8, but they definitely don't have delayed gratification. They're not learning that for sure. They're not. But my niece, she will like harbor her cash and it will take her a while to decide what she's going to spend it on. Like because they come here on vacation and they seem to come here at the end of the school year when their birthdays are right all at the end of the school year. And so they all have their cash from my parents and parents always give them cash to come here to see us on vacation. And it's interesting to see how they spend it so differently.
Yeah, you
But
definitely
I
have a
mean,
money personality. Everyone has a money
yeah.
personality. I
I
break
didn't
them
know
into
it was a
two
skill
buckets.
though. Like the one
Yeah.
marshmallow, two marshmallow kid thing. I mean, I just literally thought like I was born a two marshmallow kid and my husband was born a one marshmallow kid. I mean, my baby brother is like a five marshmallow kid. He doesn't impulse, he impulses nothing, you
Yeah,
know?
great.
But it really is a skill that's taught.
Yeah, it is a skill. It's a skill that's taught, and a lot of adults are still learning it. And also, that is to say that, like, it's okay, like, with your kid to start working on that at any point in time. If your kid is 7, 13, 18, like, whatever that may be, or 3, kids can start working on delayed gratification as young as 3, um, even really as young as 2, if you do it in a very appropriate way.
I must say, I bet like two and a half you can really,
Totally. I do it with my 2-year-old. My 2-year-old's 2.5, and we practice delayed gratification, not related to money. He doesn't yet kind of have the
yeah, framework for that.
logical thinking. Yeah, enough. He'll get there sometime between 3 to 4 years old. Um, but we work on it in other ways, right? Like we work on it with like, okay, I'm bringing one snack to school today, and you want another snack? Let's wait until we get home. Let's think about it. And then when we get home, if you still want another snack, then you can have one. And most of the time he forgot about it. He goes and rides on a scooter and then he's ready for dinner, or whatever. It's like sometimes those like simple little things, but it is a skill. And so even if you have a 13-year-old who's not great at this, you can start, right, as simple as picking a saving goal together, starting to work on that saving goal together. Whenever they make the money mistake or overspend on something, which they will do, sit down and have the conversation about where their money went in a neutral, not shame oriented way. And, do they still want that goal? Do they need to change that goal? What choice do they need to make differently moving forward to get to their goal and all of that? We talk a lot about like how to build. Okay, so we talk a lot about a couple of big things around a money, like building a money culture at home, because
Yes.
the
Okay.
reality is that you have
Yes.
one, whether you mean to or not. You have one, whether
Good,
you
bad, or
save and
don't
work
talk
money
about
or
it, talk
not.
about it a lot,
Yeah,
right? Like it's
you
there.
have
It
one.
exists. Okay.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so much of like how you're organizing that money culture at home comes from your own money personality. So like to your point, like I put money personalities into kind of two big buckets and I call them the spenders and the savers. Like it's that
Hmm.
simple to me. And my money personality is a spender, and I have had to like learn safeguards to put in place for me to turn that personality into one that is financially successful. And so, for example, how this manifests in my daily life is like when I wake up in the morning on a day that I know that like a check is going to hit my account. Literally, like 5:30 in the morning, I'm like, money. And then like I open my account and I have to first and foremost move the money in. I have to spend it. So like if I know that from this check I'm putting $2,000 into my savings account and $1,000 into this investing account or whatever, I do not feel at peace until I've moved that money around and I know the money left is the money that I've earmarked for spending. And then I feel a sense of calm and I go back to bed or I go about my day. And,
Okay.
I may be a little more dramatic than some other people are, but it is
Yeah.
that concept of the way that I have mitigated that spending
Yeah.
impulse as I have
Well,
like
I mean,
set up my system
my
to
husband is like that
deal with
though.
that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have to move the money out of his account faster than it gets there.
Yeah.
And so then I joked with him when he was driving me to the airport last week. I was like, there is money in your account because I have specific things that are coming out of your account while I am gone. I will be gone, which means I will not have time to monitor said account. Please don't go crazy. Like if you need to spend $10, whatever, please don't go spending 1,000. Like please just don't. Because I have done this before with him. And he could spend 1,000. He's that person. He could spend $1,000 at the 7-Eleven in 7 days, and I'm not even
Mhm.
joking. He is like talented at it.
Yeah.
Yes. And so
Yep.
then, very jokingly, on the way home, he actually had to grab something from the grocery store, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, it's literally $10. Like, there, I spent my only $10." I'm like, "Not your only $10, but like, you know, I purchased everything for him." I'm like, "What do you need?" Sometimes I'm like, What did you spend a couple $100s on? Like, what was this at the grocery store where you don't even buy groceries because I buy all the groceries? Um, but I see that with him. And so we've just had this thing since we went through some serious marriage counseling over this back in like 2017, where it just like has to get moved. Like it's got to get moved out. And then as you were saying that, I'm like, gosh, I don't know if I would be a saver or a spender. because I like watching it sit there and just sit there. And then I like putting it places that what then it grows because I think that's very, very fun. But I do remember when I was in college and this one thing shifted something in me, and I don't think it was for the good. But my college boyfriend's sister said, "What's the point of working so hard and making all this money if you can't spend it on things that you want?" And I remember when she said that, I was like, oh, I've never had that thought before. Now, looking back, they grew up with less than nothing money. I did not grow up like that. Like, I definitely grew up where my parents had hard business years, but I didn't grow up with like the less than nothing money. Like, I was still in a private school and
Hmm.
you know what I mean? Like, my parents own the house that they've always had. So there's that. But it changed, it did change something, and it has taken a lot to bring me back to, I think, like my actual disposition of where I like watching it accrue.
Hmm.
But so that would
Yeah.
have been like a very spender comment, right? What's the point
Yeah.
if you can't
Yeah.
spend it on things that,
Definitely, yeah, for sure. And the personality you grew up with sounds more like the saver personality, which is someone who more so hoards money. Sometimes it's from a place of just like indecision or anxiety. Sometimes it's from a place of shame or fear around spending because of a lot of reasons, right? It could be that you come from a community in which like you need to first spend money on the family and the community, and then like you feel shame
mm,
around spending money on yourself. It could be that you came from a background where money was tighter or maybe not as tight but wasn't spent, and there was a lot of like shame that you felt when you did spend money because you weren't saving it instead. And we detail what I call the big three money mindsets for kids. And they are the
yeah,
big three mindsets that if my child walks out of my house with, I will say that I'm successful. One of those mindsets is what
I'm
we
like
call split it before you spend it, which means,
writing this down, y'all. I'm writing this
yeah,
down because it was mine was very farmer mentality. Like just because we made 2 million this year doesn't mean that
yeah,
we're not going to lose 1 million next year. So
next year,
I do
yeah.
feel like
Hmm.
as a business owner, I'm like just because this month was great, like does not mean that you spend all your money. Like next, most likely next month won't be your best month ever. So you should not go crazy.
No,
Yes.
definitely.
Okay, y'all. The
Um,
big three. Tell us
The
the three.
big three, yes. But one of the big three is what we call split it before you spend it. And essentially, it means like when money first comes in, some
Mhm.
people call it save first, spend second, before to be a little bit more like um, easy to remember. But I think really the correct terminology is split it before you spend it. So when
Just
money
feels
comes
better.
in,
Like that feels
yeah,
better. Like instead of
I think
save
so.
before you spend, it's like, oh, just split.
Yeah.
Like split it. It just doesn't,
Yeah.
I don't know, it feels happier.
Yeah. And
I
more
think it
neutral.
addresses both parties.
That's exactly what it is. Yes.
Emotionally,
Woo,
I
you
feel
get
like, yes,
it.
I'm like, emotionally,
You
I feel like
get
if,
it.
if I said that to my husband, we're just going to split it before we spend it. I feel really good because I'm like, thank God we're saving half of it. And he would be like, woohoo, we're spending
Yeah,
half of it.
exactly. Yeah. But it really is at its heart, it's just that when money comes in, first you
Mhm.
divide it up amongst your goals and then you spend from what you have allocated for your spending, right? So how that is really helpful for like not creating the spending mindset or helping you as an adult, right? If you are a spender like myself, is that when money comes in, you first spend it, you first, right, set it aside to what your goals are, and then you have a clearly defined bucket of spending money because left to your own impulses and consumption kind of habits and behaviors, you'll obviously spend more of it than you mean to before you save it. On the other hand, for people who are like savers by mentality or kind of not creating the that type of mentality in our kids and putting any like kind of that fear and shame around money, it you split the money up amongst your goals and then you are given permission to spend money out of that spending bucket. You know, I have this bucket of money to spend. This is meant to be spent on something I'm looking forward to spending on. I can make whatever choice I want with the spending money, whether that's for your kids, the concession stand after soccer practice, or the toy they're saving up for,
Mm,
or, whatever that may be.
yeah.
So, one of the main ways that we introduce this to kids, especially at a young age, is what we call the four jar method. And that is our answer to a piggy bank.
I'm so,
Yeah.
this was on my top list of questions.
Yes.
I did tell my husband, I was like, you're getting four
You're getting
jars.
jars.
You're getting the jars. Because I mean, is that bad? Like as adults to just go, hey, this framework wasn't taught to us as kids. We need to learn this in just like childlike form
Yeah,
as an adult. Let's
for
bring out
sure.
the four jars.
Yeah. I mean, there's like budgeting techniques and methods out there that are based on envelopes, right? Or like based on certain account
Yeah.
structures that your money automates to. So
I
like
just think the jars
that's
are
just like,
cuter.
yeah, the jars are much cuter, but it's the same concept as those things. It's just being
Okay.
able to teach your kid how to do it.
What's simpler? Because there's four jars. Okay,
Simpler.
so
Yes.
four jars, guys. The four jars. You can go to if you can go to her Instagram and you can find the four jars and you should find it and then you should share it because all your friends should see the four jars.
Yes, I
Yes.
agree. It's pinned to the top of our page, so you'll see it. And we talk
Hmm.
about it a lot. But so the four jars is our answer to a piggy bank, right? So instead of kids putting all of their money into one big pot and then sort of grabbing money to spend, the classic way, right? The way that I used a piggy bank growing up was I had a
Hmm.
piggy bank, I saved up money in there, I took my piggy bank to the store, I bought whatever I could find that I wanted to, that I had enough money for, and that's how I spent my money. We propose, we say, instead of doing a piggy bank, which for 3 to 5 year olds is still appropriate, it's still them kind of understanding money as a tactile thing. I really say, depending on how well your kid is picking up on the concepts that we say they can learn in the 3 to 5 age range, um, I moved my kid onto the four jars at 4 years old. So you know your kid best, development's a spectrum, start it whenever. But generally between 3 to 5, it's totally fine if you do the piggy bank. But from there, we move kids to a system where they use four jars to hold their money. So when money comes in, they
Hmm.
split their money up amongst those four jars in equal proportions. And those four jars are spending, saving, investing or growing, and sharing, which is charitable giving, but we call it sharing because kids inherently understand the idea of sharing and they hear it all the time. So who do they want to share their money with? So when that money comes in, you'll work with them to set a set of percentages or proportions. My recommendation is that they put 50% in spending, 25% in saving, 15% in investing, and 10% in sharing. So if $10 come in, they put $5 in the spend jar, $2.50 in the saving jar, $1.50 in the investing jar, and a dollar in the sharing jar. And so that's just their habit. Anytime that money comes in, they divide it up physically, tactilely. They see the money going into these different goals. And then whenever they want to buy something or you're introducing different money concepts to them, like we also pin to the top of our Instagram, have a reel about how to introduce investing to your child between 6 to 8 years old. So as young as
Mm.
6.
Okay.
You can go to that specific jar that they have split the money up from and say, like, great, what are we doing with your saving money? Like, what are we saving toward? Put the picture of what they're saving toward on their saving jar and like let them count the money in there to see how close they're getting to it. Um, and number one, it just helps it be really simple, clear, physical, tactile for kids at the age where they need that. But
Hmm.
really, what this is an introduction to basic budgeting.
Yes.
And as they get older, you can migrate them away from the four jars around 9. I recommend moving kids to a paper-based budgeting system or an app-based. There's lots of apps for it too,
Yeah.
but a simple one. So at
What would
9
be
years
like a
old,
good app that does that?
so one that I've seen floating around that I think is simple enough to be good for kids and it's free is Moolah Plan, Moohlh plan. It's in development, so I met with their founder at one point. He's really lovely, and he was
Yeah.
kind of showing me all the updates that they were making. But that one's like a simple enough infrastructure that kids can understand. You can also just put them on a basic paper-based or Excel-based spreadsheet and
Okay.
keep it as simple as possible. I would still at 9 years old be breaking it down into these four categories: spending, saving, investing, and sharing. You're just moving away
Absolutely.
from the jars, putting them into accounts, and they're keeping track of it on paper. And then
Hmm.
as they get older, they can start budgeting with more specificity, right? So at 9 years old, they should be saving towards short-term goals. As they get closer to
Mm.
13, we can add in midterm goals like a car they can start saving toward. If they have earned income, they can start putting into a Roth IRA from their investing bucket, right, from their paper-based budgeting system. And by the time that they get to teenagers, they should be budgeting for specific expenses like transportation,
Hmm.
and like
Do you
concessions or
get
food
into
costs.
some of this in your ebook?
So the ebook is really kind of an intro or like a little bit of like a palate cleanser for people. we are in development of like a full online course that we'll be launching within the next 2 months.
Oh, you
And
guys.
so,
Yes.
yes.
Okay, so it is July. We're recording this in July. So in the fall of 2025, there will be coming a full-on course.
Yes, our target is to launch in mid-September, but definitely by early October at the latest. I'm starting
Okay.
to film it in a couple of weeks. But there's a longer form foundations course that goes all through like examining your own mindset as a caregiver, how to set a money culture at home, like
Wow.
what are age appropriate concepts people can understand. My favorite that I wrote actually was
Yeah.
about helping kids navigate external financial pressures. So the grandparents who spoil them or shame them, when they see their friends buying the expensive shoes, right, or those types of things,
That's
and
in
like
there. Because okay,
yes,
so
social media we talk about.
this was my husband and I's biggest money problem. This right here. He doesn't listen to this, so oh well. If somebody else does and says something to somebody. I, like I grew up, set a very strict budget for us with all the things. And then when he would go over his budget, his mom would as adults, we're freaking adults, and this is happening. His mom would supplement with whatever the heck. And then I would come back, and then she would shame me and get mad at me and like belittle me for the money that he's spending. And I'm like,
Something's not working here. Yeah. Yeah. Find
it
your
was
inner peace.
it was so unnerving though, because
Yeah.
it's like this balance of like, okay, so at least you're living within, I mean, whatever, you're not messing up my framework. And then you're going over here to the parent who, because divorced parents, so you're going over to the parent that has to like buy all the love, but then also that buying all the love parent is like then eating me alive for it.
Yeah.
So it was not, it was so hard on us.
Yeah. In the course, we detail a framework that we use to like handle that on both sides, the shaming side and
Yeah.
the over gifting kind of
Yeah.
quote unquote spoiling side. And we give some scripts as well for it. And
Yeah.
then a big topic I think that's only going to continue that we do broach in that foundations course also is like media and social media. Because every influencer is selling you lots of things. And kind of navigating that. We like have a bunch of
Yeah.
frameworks for all of those things. So I'm excited for that to be in the foundations course. But in
Mm.
addition to the foundations course, we have age specific mini courses. So you can bundle them together and say, like, I have a 3-year old, and the
Mm.
foundations course really gives you the foundation of how to like build a strong money culture, navigate those things, kind of get a basic
Okay.
understanding of what kids can learn,
And
how
then
to
you're gonna
examine
have
your own mindset. Yeah,
age
and then
specific
the
courses.
age specific ones are really going to give you the how. So, how do I
Okay.
execute this? What are the materials that I need? There's lots of printables in there. What does this look like to do the 4 jars really well? What do I do when my
Mm.
kid says or does this in response? Like, what's the difference between the spending and the saving jar for a 5-year-old?
Wow.
Things like that are going to come out. So, that's coming soon. The ebook really was like kind of the original teaser. It's actually, I think, going to go away whenever
Yeah.
the courses come out or get broken up in different ways.
Yeah. Y'all go
But
grab it. It's $10. Go grab the ebook.
yeah.
Go grab it. The age specific ones, I think in the social media one, my husband works in, he actually works in the athletics department for 7th through 12th graders. And I swear, I mean, I know it's obviously all over the place, but especially in the realm of sports for 7th through 12th graders, I have never seen more. I need the newest bat. I need the newest cleats. I need the newest, hottest. Everybody has everything, and it's just nonstop. And I always, people, the parents were 40. And so parents will say to us, like, oh, like, when are you guys going to have kids? And I'm like, honestly, they're just so expensive.
Yeah.
And then some people will be like, no, they're not. And I'm like, your kids must be losers because I watch how much money you guys spend. Like, this is insane. Like, I am like, those are $200 cleats. And it's kind of, we live in a weird place where we live. We have the most low income of the lowest of the lowest of the low income where they're coming to school to get a good shower and eat a hot meal or a meal at all. And then we also have kids that are, driving in their custom BMWs and Broncos and they live in a $15 million mansion. You know what I mean? Like we have both spectrums. It's just a weird explosive growth area. And so it's so weird to see these kids who wear $200 cleats once and then quote unquote lose them or like don't care that they've lost their brand new Stanley and then we have the opposite spectrum, but I can't. I think that's probably the of all it's all needed, but I think that is will be like a big huge hot need course of just mentally how to handle that.
Yeah, and
The
I think
parent.
too, this is why it's like extra important that like number
Yeah.
one, you're doing the exercises around having your kids define their values with money,
Yeah.
so that they're entering into those money decisions with, we have an activity with the older kids, 13 and above, called a personal money mission statement, where your kid does a bunch of
Mm,
reflective work to define a mission statement for themselves with how they use money. And I think that's a great anchor is like first making sure that you've had the conversations and done the work with your child. And it can be very simple. We'll give you all the resources to do. We'll give you the workbook for the kids and all the worksheets. But to really define like what are the values that are guiding their money choices,
yeah.
and from there having them be very involved in making those decisions. So when you're going to buy the new cleats, we're looking at their paper-based budget or app-based budget that they're keeping, and
Hmm.
we're looking at how much the new cleats are costing, what they're contributing to it versus what you're contributing to it, and where that money's coming from and how that money is impacting their ability to save for whatever they have defined their goals to be. Um, and I think once again, like not approaching from blame or shame, like I talk about this a lot too. Like when we're trying to have our
Mm,
kids define their values with money, we have to accept their values with money. And so we can guide them. But when it comes down to it, let's say you have the kid who, went to the pizza place with their friends and spent more than they had allocated for their spending budget, right? And they come home and we're talking about it. We recommend doing a weekly money check-in with your kids, and we give a whole framework for how to do them. But you're sitting down at your money check-in, and we discover they spent $60 at the pizza restaurant when they only had $50 for the week in spending,
yeah.
and they overdrew their account or they pulled from savings or whatever. Or they only had $100 and they spent 60 of it in this one go. What now? And like sitting down and asking your kid those questions about like, what were you valuing in that moment? Was that something you valued right then, or was that something you really value in general?
Yeah.
And it's also perfectly valid for your child to say something like, you know what, I was saving for this new gaming system,
Hmm.
and I want to be able to go out with my friends and do these things. And
Yeah.
so to me, I want more of my money to go to those experiences with my friends than the gaming system. It's perfectly fine for them to drop the goal of the gaming system. There's no problem with that. They've made the decision, they
Okay.
value the experience more.
Yeah.
Um, and so, we talk about that a lot in their spending money and like how what
Yeah.
the short and
But that's
midterm
so
savings
good.
goals. But yeah, and
Again,
they
like
may
kids
just
or adults. It's like,
yeah.
and I think giving them that permission that they can change what they're valuing.
Totally. And it's a
Yeah.
natural consequence. So if they get like 6 months down the road and they realize they really wanted the gaming system, well, that's a natural consequence. They don't have the
Hmm.
money for it because they chose to value other experiences. And that's okay. Now they can still get the gaming system. It's just going to be probably in another 6 months because they're starting from scratch now, than where
Hmm.
they would have been now. And that's a critical
Yeah.
conversation to have too, that once again, you can have without shame. It doesn't have to be an I told you so or see what happened. It can be, okay, 6 months ago, you made the decision that the gaming system wasn't that important to you. I hear that it's now very important to you. It's still possible for you, but we're starting now from only $10 saved. Let's make a
Hmm.
plan to get it and see how long it's going to take you. And,
Oh
then they just don't
my.
have it. For,
It's like I think it's mind blowing to me listening to these things that we're teaching kids that we should be teaching kids that I hope now we're all going to start teaching kids, and then seeing how you can learn it as a kid or you can learn it as an adult. It's as simple as I had to buy a new laptop. I've needed to buy a new laptop for over 6 months. And I kept telling my husband and my assistant, no, I'm not buying a new laptop yet because I've invested all these other things into my business. So the new laptop is not where the money is going, but when, you know what I mean? Like when it's like backed saved, and it's like that place where I save for like if I want to take a course, if I want to, whatever. I'm like, when that's back saved, I'll go to the Apple store and I'll get another MacBook. And so I finally hit that last week and like got to go get the new MacBook. And it like could I have pulled it out of savings? Could I have pulled it out of wherever way earlier? Yes. Could I have even validated it? Yes. Like there were times where just the old processor was so on the fritz with my last laptop that I would be like tell my husband like, "Oh my gosh, I'm recording today. Can I please use your laptop?" And he'd be like, "Yeah, of course." And leave it at home, which so it's not like I was, it just was inconvenient. But it was interesting how to them they're like, it doesn't make sense. It's a business thing. You need it. Just go buy it. You have the money. And I'm like, absolutely not. I don't have it here, like in this specific spot. And it felt so great to go buy it that day. knowing that I literally waited like 7, 8 months to buy it. But I don't know, like to me that felt so great. But it was interesting, like even as adults, like how we keep having that conversation with them, my
Mm-hmm.
husband and my primary assistant. But going, I know this is a thing that my parents must have taught me as a kid. Because one of the things was very early on, I liked very expensive things. And my parents, I'm 10 years old, and they sat me down and they said, here's the deal. You want all these crazy expensive clothes, that's fine. Um, we're going to give you the same exact amount of money that we would be putting towards spending your brother's clothes, who don't care if their clothes come from Walmart. They don't care. So we're going to give you that. And then you can help in my mom's office. You can babysit the neighbors because I lived on a farm. So a lot of the neighbors, their parents would go outside to do chores. So I could keep the kids alive inside while the parents were outside doing chores. Like that's fine for me to do. And they would pay me. And so I started accruing money and having to save it to be able to go buy the more expensive Abercrombie, American Eagle, whatever. Like my parents did not just give it to me. I don't know where they got the idea from. And then of course we had like saving and tithing and all the things like every good small town Midwest family does.
Mm-hmm.
But I am just looking at that now and going, I don't know. As an adult, you're like, let me list all the ways my parents did the things wrong. And there was a lot of things that didn't go right, but I can see now foundationally where this came from.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it makes a huge difference, definitely.
it's so crazy. It's actually
Mm-hmm.
kind of wild. I'm going, I need to buy all these courses for my littles and ourselves. We're just gonna start from the beginning with the jars and we're gonna move up from
I
there.
think
So
honestly, like this is a mindset or a mentality I hear a lot from people, and people just saying like, "Oh, like I need this information myself," or like I'm nervous to start talking to my kid because I don't feel like I have this foundation. And I think like my response to that is really two things. The first is like we talked about, like whether you're talking about money or not, you're teaching your kids about money, so you might as well start thinking about how to do it a little better. And second is that like you don't have to know everything about money. You don't have to be great with money. Like it is so powerful to learn alongside your kid and for your kid to hear you narrating those things out loud and just saying like, this is a topic I'm interested in learning about. Let's go learn about it together. And like, with like investing in the stock market at age 9, we have kids starting to do their own early research on like what they want to invest in. And like, you can do those things together and learn about them together. And there's so much like those lessons are actually ones that your kids are probably they're going to be more meaningful for your kids, even
yeah,
more than like the lecture you gave them that one time because you knew it all.
yeah,
Um,
I
and so
love
I think,
that.
yeah, so I think
Yeah,
that's really important. And if you are doing the best you can to learn alongside your kid and you're doing the best you can to like take the blame and shame or the silence, right, out of money conversations with your kids, like, you're doing fine. You don't need to know everything. You just need to know a little bit more about how money works than your kid does
yeah,
at 3 years old to start talking about it, which you do.
yeah,
I promise at least that. And the rest you can like learn alongside each other.
yeah.
And so I think sometimes when we are afraid to have these conversations because we're afraid of how they're going to go, we just default to not having them. And
Mm-hmm.
that's actually probably one of the worst things that you can do is just never broach
Never
this
have them at
topic
all.
with your kids when this is, how they orient to money and what their habits and mindsets with money are one of the most defining, right, sets of habits, mindsets, and skills that they will take with them into
Yeah.
adulthood.
Because that's my thing. We always kind of end here on All Things Excellence with a permission that we can give to women. And so it's a permission to give to women when it comes to kind of fumbling forward with their kids and figuring this out. And because so much shame does come up around the aspect of money, like what grace, what permission would you love to give women who are going, my own finances are a disaster, and now you're telling me I need to help my kids do better with theirs. Like what is that? Just grace and permission that you have for them.
Yeah. So I think number one, once again, like learning alongside your kids is really powerful. And to be honest, like your own transparency with your kids about mistakes that you made and things that you learned along the way and where you are now and like learning about and like seeing that like openly, I think also has a lot of power in itself. And I think ultimately, like you don't have to heal your whole financial past before you start helping your kids develop their own financial future. You can heal that together You can develop that future together. You can say, I didn't learn this when I was younger, but I am learning now, and I want to teach you as I go. Like that's powerful modeling, right? That you have for your kids. So like you don't need even spreadsheets, you don't need a finance degree, you just need a little consistency, a couple of habits, and the courage to just say like, let's figure this out together.
Together.
And you're already going to be setting your kid up for a way more empowered financial future just by that. And honestly, like once again, like I said before, like we try to keep it really simple. We have a big three mindsets that if you just hit over and over and over again, or a few simple activities like a regular money check-in or narrating your money choices out loud or split it things before you spend it, right? Some of those simple habits that you can put throughout their whole childhood. Like imagine if you sent your child off into the world just understanding to split their money before they spend their money. Like
Yeah.
they'd already be way better off than I was partying in Chicago in my 20s, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. Oh my gosh. Okay. So, first of all, you guys, I have a million notes. I always have a bunch of notes and then I get a million notes on top of the notes. Um, okay, split it before you spend it. The 4 jars, absolutely love them. You can start showing them how to invest at 6 years old. I cannot wait for all the different, like the foundations course and then the age specific courses that you're coming out with. Teaching them a personal money mission statement, teaching them about values and guiding their money choices, teaching our kids to live a choice filled life. That kids can learn about money as young as 3 years old also blew my mind. Um, let's see. And then delayed gratification is a skill. Who freaking knew? Because I obviously didn't. I just thought that I was like born with it. I thought you like were a marshmallow kid, a 2 marshmallow kid, or you're 1 marshmallow kid. And some days I was like, why did I marry a 1 marshmallow kid? Like, why did I do this? And now I can't wait for him to get home tonight to be like, you know what I learned today? And he's gonna be like, what? I'm gonna be like, that you can be a 2 marshmallow
Yeah,
kid.
you can. It's true.
There's hope. I'm so excited to help you learn the skill of being a 2 marshmallow kid. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, there was like that study way back in the day where they left kids in a room to see if they would wait for them to come back and bring them a second marshmallow or if they would just eat the marshmallow that was sitting in front of them. So we always joke about 1 or 2 marshmallow kid. Okay, so last thing before we go, where are all the best places? We'll have all the links below. All the links are below, but if you're just listening, where are all the best places for people to find you and get their hands on your resources?
Yeah, so the absolute best place to find us is Instagram. It's where all the stuff is. Honestly, because I'm just like an elder millennial mom, and so that's the platform that's where I am, and that's where I understand the most. But we do that most of our stuff cross post to Facebook and Instagram threads. So you can find us in those places. We do have a TikTok as well, though that's not quite as active. So I would say Instagram is really the place to find us. And then we do have a website you can visit if you want to get the ebook before it goes into retirement when the courses drop to get started today. There's also like toys and books that we love. There are links on there. You can check out great books to use with your kids, or great toys to use at each different kind of age. And so our website's also a great resource. In the next couple of months too, we're also going to be coming out with a blog on the website. So the website's a great resource as well to bookmark or to look back at regularly. Get on our email distribution list because we'll be sending those blogs out regularly as well.
Okay. I love it, y'all. Raising Little Millionaires. Go to the Instagram, binge the life out of it because it is really good. I've binged it so many times. Really great. Doesn't matter whether you have kids, no kids, however old you are. Go there, binge it, enjoy it. Thank you, Emily, for jumping on today on our All Things Excellence. And we will talk to y'all next time. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to All Things Excellence. If something landed with you today, I'd love for you to follow the show, share it with a friend, or leave a quick review. It helps more women find these transformational conversations. And if you're ready for support with your next step, or needing someone to stand in the gap with you to figure out what that even is, I'd love to create that space for you. And my intro clarity call is a great place to start because life is too quick and too full to have to figure it out alone. Until next time, All Things Excellence fam, thank you for listening.